We needed to see a Brit Edie event this episode because why? And Shamia, baby, you were doing way too much at said event. And some of my party people, honeys, I ain't talking to some of y'all because y'all was being mean to me about the whole Porsha and Shamia situation from my last video. Okay? And y'all know I am totally kidding. But what is going on, y'all? It's your girl Taina B here, and welcome to my chat party. I'm so glad that you can join me for a little bit, a lot of it, fashionably early, fashionably late, to hear my little thoughts, my little views, my little opinions on the Real Housewives of Atlanta ATL shouty season 16, episode number 12. And since we are in well, I wouldn't call it real time, but it's the same day that I'm recording. I want to wish y'all a very happy Memorial Day and a special shout out to all just the U.S. military personnel that, either lost their lives or came enough close to it and made the sacrifices so that we can be where we are today, okay? Living in this place, that we call America, okay? Take it for what it's worth, but definitely the sacrifice for sure was still not in vain. And we thank you guys so much for your service, for real, for real. Where the party at though? Who cooking out today? Who grilling? Who doing what? What private jet that I do not have that I need to hop on to come see y'all so I can give me a plate, you know what I'm saying, and a good old drink. All right. As a matter of fact, let me take that back because I absolutely hate to fly. Even though I've done it all the time, at this point in time, I've taken a chill pill with everything that's going on. So if I could walk there, that would be better. But I'm just saying, whatever y'all do, y'all probably must have also probably handled your business on Saturday or Sunday. We did our little thing yesterday, maybe not cookout wise, but just kind of, making a spread of food and just chilling. So whatever y'all do, be safe, enjoy to the fullest, okay? But we're gonna go ahead and get into this. Oops, but before I do, again, special shout out to all you guys, whether you just take the time to, hit the like button, whether you've become part of the VIP party guest list, I thank you so much. Whether you be hitting that dance floor, making it do what it do, you already know what it is. Definitely love from the bottom of my heart. Okay, let's hit it. So we start off with Shamea chilling in her backyard pool at Sterling Manor. And I said, oh, girl, okay, you about to get chewed out. All right, not by me though. I said for wearing that Christian Dior. Shout out to Pop Smoke. If you know, you know. R.I.P. from head to toe, right? And I ain't switching up because I still think she usually looks cute for the most part. Now, granted, there still were times in my mind where I was like, no, like when she met with Ralph in that prior episode and she had them checkered boots. I didn't get to say it, probably because it just didn't cross my mind, to say it. And I probably still should have said it. But yeah, I recognize when things don't look that good. Okay, let's not get it twisted. But she's not all bad, y'all. Like, come on. And at the end of the day, I still will say, if the whole point was for it to give money, which is again what we kind of tune in for too, right? Then, like I said before, it was giving the money. So Kelly joins her, and at the onset, Shamia greets her by saying, "Oh, hey, bestie," because she feels like Kelly's a fun person and she's open up to her, yada, 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 and whatnot. And I'm like, Shamia, this is why you've been in the predicament you've been in with Porsha for so long, right? It doesn't, like, just because someone smiles at you and shows you a good time, that doesn't mean that they're your friend or your bestie, okay? And I understand she didn't have to mean that in a literal sense, but Shamia strikes me as someone who just takes in people who smiles at her the right way, right? And clearly you got to watch folks, because the most dangerous ones are the ones who smile in your face most often than not. And long and short, Kelly presents the ideas that all the ladies need a getaway. Yes, I know it's a production induced produced trip, whatever. And so they're going to head to Grenada. So we have Porsha now, who is house hunting. Of course, not without Where's Waldo number 2, her sister, and her mother tagging along. Y'all already know who Where's Waldo number 1 is. Somebody hit me on the dance floor and let me know if you remember, okay? And I was so happy, I'll say, to get the flashback of like the old school Porsha, because I told y'all before that's the Porsha that I liked and I loved and that I missed. And maybe not in a sense of the control she had to go through with Cordell, because I remember those early seasons and I did not care for him at all. I may not remember much and all the details. I definitely remember the limo ride with the ladies and, being out past a certain time and this, that, and the third. And, the whole thing with her wedding dress, and Cordell. But it's like even vaguely remember those things. I just distinctively remember that I did not like him and I didn't like the way that he treated her, right? He would talk to her any kind of way, all of that. Like she was a child. I don't want to say like she was unintelligent because some of y'all might take that and stretch that and start talking about this Underground Railroad thing and such. And I ain't trying to do all that, but the point is, glad she got out of that, but I still miss some of that personality of hers, right? I know she still had some growing to do and maybe some strength to find, but some retrospect she kind of did, whatever. Um, and I think it was somewhat too maybe the innocence about her in that moment and maybe a little bit of integrity that I felt like she possessed, but whatever. I'll quickly stick a pin in this scene by asking, at the end of the day, though, Porsha, while you're looking at this house, can you afford to be looking at this home? Can you? Because you're trying to get back on your feet as a single woman with a daughter who you have to take care of. And while it's cool to see that you've tried to learn from your marriages by leaving, or at least leveling up, excuse me, when it comes to the aftermath of it all, but does your plan B have to come at the cost or come to the tune of $4.2 million? Like just to keep up with the Joneses pretty much, because I feel like that's all you're trying to do. Because why can't it be a fraction of that and still be a beautiful place to live? Like I know Atlanta has tons of places where you can live and still be looking good while you're living, or still feel like you live in some type of luxury but still downgrade. You better go on and switch over and hop in that townhome that Kelly has when she leaves. Like what's wrong with that for you and just your daughter? Like people sometimes just really be doing the most to me, y'all. And I think she was doing the most with that. So it, like I said, was still very much giving, keeping up with the Joneses, or maybe she's trying to keep up with Shamea even. Don't click off the video yet for those of y'all who just strongly disagree with me. Okay to the okay, y'all. I'm just kidding, all right? Because some of y'all be like, she ain't trying to keep up with Shamea. Shamia's trying to keep up with her. Okay, fine, whatever. Let's move on. And so Kelly's dog getting a facial. I said, okay, where do we draw the line with this? It's too much. We're gonna move right along. And why does Shamea have to gyrate with everything she does and wherever she goes? Can y'all tell me that? Because I'm like, we just saw her gyrating at the pool with Kelly, and now she can't even sit her butt down in the chair for her radio interview without gyrating. I'm like, girl, relax. Is it just like an automatic thing for her? Like, you know what I'm saying? And again, don't mistake me for being anybody's prude or party poop or not knowing how to have a good time. Because when I tell you I do that, I do that, I do, and I know how, and I know how, and I know how. But I just feel like sometimes it's just like you got to know when to turn that off, and it can't always be on. There's a time and a place for it to be on, right? And I get these probably are her friends that she's interviewing with. Because like I said, I remember she used to do radio. Y'all can let me know. Maybe she was doing radio with Big Tigger. I don't know. I'm not sure. Or the other lady that was there, I think her name was Jazzy. So maybe she's comfortable, or maybe they're just friends, right? Outside of radio, but still, like, chill. Okay, girl, chill. We know you got it. We know you know how to do it. Like, relax. Anyways, as I was saying, so she was meeting with a lady named Jazzy and Big Tigger with Big Tigger. If y'all know with that too. Shout out to him. Back in the day, there was a show he used to host called The Basement. Loved it. And pretty much for y'all who don't know, it was just like a show where he would interview like the hottest like hip hop artists at that time. Oh man, it would be such a treat. And you would just see who would walk down in the basement and you'd be so surprised, like, oh shoot, it's Method Man. And y'all know Method Man was fine. And for those of y'all out there who thought Method was fine back in the day, I don't know if you've seen him recently. He did the Sherry Shepherd show, and I know he was doing Power and all the things. Aging like a fine wine. My God. I said, "Ooh, God, meth, you are just." I would have looked like meth when I grew up. Okay, I would have looked like Method Man. Okay, like I even told my husband. He was like, "What?" So, anyways, he just looks. He's aging really nicely. All jokes aside, and so it was just is nice to see Big Tigger. And too, he used to date. Big Tigger used to date our girl Rudy. Okay, Keisha Knight Pulliam from the Cosby Show at one point in time. I think they had a serious relationship, but okay, whatever. Moving forward, it ain't about all of that, right? And so, apparently she goes right in, and that's Shamea shading Drew when Tigger, asked her, or says, isn't there, a similar lady on the show who's doing music talking about Drew? And this is all still a simmer from Drew calling Shamea a lap dog. She's still in her feelings about that. And I'm like, but Shamea, at the end of the day, how do you justify that Drew was wrong about that? Drew has been known to lie, right? As my girl Miss Misha says, Drew got a little lying problem. She does. But is she lying about that though? Is she lying about that? Drew doesn't lie about everything. You know, she might get caught up in a lot of things, but not everything. And it's like, would you have preferred her to use a different description? I mean, come on. But anywho, I said, I know you are kidding me, Bravo. If you think I wasn't about to fast forward the Nazaline scene with her husband when they were talking, but before I could finish typing good, my notes up, I hear her say she's hosting an event for maybe a clothing line she has. And at that time, I couldn't make out what she said, and I didn't feel like rewinding it. But moving forward, apparently it was for bare naked, right? And even then, I was like, isn't there something else that's similar to that? And then I think Porsha says later on her confessional, oh well, listen, this I got Go Naked, and my Go Naked been around for 10 years, so I've been here first. But I was like, oh, that's right, Portia's hairline. But anyways, I was like, oh great, now that we're hearing she's going to have an event, this means that we're probably going to have to watch the event taped, because I'm sure the ladies will be present. But for now, I'm out. So peace. Fast forward. Charles and Angela are visiting one of her properties that's struggling, and she keeps having to reduce the price and is now 2 million in debt. I was like, oh Lord, child, that is a good amount right there. And she mentions to Charles that she spoke to her mother about their beef they were having. And I couldn't really understand why she got so emotional in that moment. So you guys will have to let me know. But DJ, spoiler alert, y'all, of bad news. Did you guys hear though, unfortunately, that her mom had passed away? Since I'm like, oh my gosh, crazy world. And I don't know why. I'll have to do a little bit more homework on that. I just saw just different, posts that she had passed away. And I'm like, why? Like, what happened? And she looked so cute, so fabulous. When we saw her, it just is like, what? You know what I'm saying? And of course, obviously, you can leave out of here for a plethora of reasons. It doesn't have to be that you're sick or anything like that. But I was like, that is insane. So definitely rest in peace, rest in paradise to her mom. Prayers up to Angela and her family for sure. I was like, well, that completely sucks. I will say too, it's crazy with the timing that if things ended how we saw them, which was on a good note, she was in a good place with her mom, it seemed like. And I'm not sure if her mom ever got a one-on-one with Charles, but at least she let her daughter know that it was all good on her end with him. So that was good. At the same time, sad at the same time. So, and we know that they do these tapings like months in advance before anything. So there could have been time for things to get kind of rocky again, but I really hope not. And sometimes it's weird how things work out, right? I'm sure you guys have had stories, and I've heard stories of where just something so out of the ordinary will happen right before somebody transitions from here. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll do the craziest thing they never did before that'll leave an impression on you, or they'll make amends with people. So I'm hoping that things stayed well since it had to go that way. But we don't want to stay in the sad. Let's move on. uh Definitely shares with Charles that Britt has invited her to her event and that she does plan to attend. They make their little jokes about that, whatever. So here we are at Britt's event now. And her and her husband come walking in looking like a fool. Her event is still not set up when in comes Kelly and Shamea. And I said, see, now this episode is eating me up and making me pay for me saying that overall I like the way Shamea dresses. I said, and I know y'all on the dance floor are going to get me too, right? Especially Bravotv. I see you, Bravotv. Mwah, I see you, right? Um, and it's like, because I could admit out loud that I did not like what she was wearing. Okay. I was like, what in the hell did Shamia have on? And it's just a simple black and white, but I was like, girl, no. Like, seriously, right? It didn't flow for me at all. From head to toe, it did not. And I know y'all are going to point out it was the Balenciaga throwing up all over her blazer dress, right? I get it. That is too much print showing. But I just felt like the whole get up. Like, certain shoes just don't mix with certain dresses, and certain earrings you can't wear with certain this and that. Like, none of it just worked for me. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, somehow golf is associated with this event, which is nonsensical, because if that was the case, then she should have just put that on her invitation to dress in golf attire, right? And not what they had on. Furthermore, I was like, why are we watching them attempt to golf right now? Like, this is stupid. I'm moving forward. And so the other ladies start to arrive. And of course, Britt and Angela greet each other in the fakest way possible. Not sure why they had to hug, as they would have been better off just saying or waving hello. You know what I'm saying? In the same fakery mix, you have Porsha, who comes over and decides that she wants to hug Drew today and say hello. I said, okay, well, here we go with the off and on and the back and forth. Because remember, before on the Tennessee trip, we just knew that it was going to be bad once Porsha laid eyes on Drew showing up on her trip, and Porsha ended up giving her a hug, but then it went left. So it's like, can we trust this, ladies and gentlemen? Party people? Absolutely not, right? But I'm like, okay, girl. And even with that, that would just be too much for me, y'all, because it's like, you love me, you hate me. You love me, you hate me. Do you love me now? Do you hate me now? You hate me. Okay, like, I get not being mad for an eternity, but where do we draw the line when we do move on? When do we say, okay, we cool, but we cool to this point, to this level? Like, we don't need to be hugging, we don't need to be this, we don't need to be that. Or if we are going to do that, let's be consistent with it. You know what I'm saying? Don't turn around tomorrow and then your nose is up in the air about me. Like, either stick with that or stick with that. Pick one. And that's that on that, you know? So the back and forth and the unpredictability for me, y'all, that never works for me when it comes to people. That is also or always just a red tenna alert, red flag, whatever, when it comes to people. When you're unpredictable and you change like the wind, no, ma'am, absolutely not. Okay, but hold the doggone phone. Scratch the DJ music. Right? Did I understand correctly that Britt only planned to feed entrees just to the ladies, the housewife ladies, and everyone else she invited only cocktail food? What? what? What kind of party is that? I said, I know you got to be kidding me. But unfortunately for her pockets, the additional guests were given entrees anyway, right? She didn't plan on that. So you know that's going to cost her a pretty penny. Okay. And now my party peeps, y'all know that's insane. Okay. Don't even fret. You know that's crazy. In what world should you host a party and feed some a main dish, but not all? So I'm going to sit across the way and and eat some pigs in a blanket or nibble on some crackers and cheese while you over there cutting up a steak or some good old salmon. You know what I'm saying? Dipping it in your mashed potatoes. Like, what? OMG. Okay? That was wild to me. And I just feel like she just makes herself look sillier and sillier over time with this show. I pray we don't see her after this season anymore. Okay. And I hope that we can all be on one accord with that. Y'all got to be on one accord with me with that. Come on, y'all. Tell me I am not cray when I say that. Okay. Please. She needs to go wherever Anne Marie went from Beverly Hills. I don't know if y'all remember her. She needs to go where Alexis Bellino went from OC and where Mia skirted off to during that reunion of Potomac. Because no, go wherever those ladies are and you stay over there with them. Y'all probably would mix really well anyways, okay? At my party, y'all here, we eat. Okay, we eat. I'm gonna tell you that right now. We eat good. One thing I will say about me, you guys, and just my husband, whenever we host things, whether it's separate or apart, we're going to feed the people and we're going to make sure we have good food and we're going to make sure we have more than enough of it. And I think, matter of fact, I know that's just attributed to the fact of how I was raised. You know, to this day, whenever my mom does anything, she's always taught me to make sure you have enough because you don't want to run out of food. Now, does it happen? Yes. If I go somewhere and they run out of food, do I turn my nose up? No. But it's just where I was raised that, you know, you don't want to skimp out like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them things like if you're not going to do it, then just don't do it at all. And to me, this was an occasion, obviously, where Britt just needed to just chill out and not do it at all. Okay. Anyways, so of course, Porsha and Shamea are shading her in their confessional about the food or lack thereof. And another weird thing as well. I said, how do you gift the housewife ladies without giving anything to the other ladies who were present in the room that came to support your event? Brit and her nasal passage are just beyond tacky. And if you're not going to do something, like I said, if you ain't doing it right, just don't do it at all. Just leave it alone. If you don't have the money to do something, that's another thing. There's no shame in that, y'all. If you ain't got the funds to make something shake and pop, just save until you can. Just hold off, or maybe do something on a lighter note. So instead of that big event, maybe she should have just hosted something with just the ladies. Okay. she still would have cut costs, cut corners, saved costs, whatever. Then don't have all these other people there. It was just so foolish to me. Okay. And I feel like we did get the camera pan in to show that her other guests were not impressed at all. And I'm not even mad at them. Sidebar, she definitely showed a before and after of one of her garments on the screen at the event. I don't know if y'all was paying attention talking about some. You see the difference? I said, no, I sure don't, because the before looked like the after picture and the after picture looked like the before picture. I said, where's the difference, girl? What are they going to be paying for here? Part of another scheme, allegedly. I said again, we can't even trust this business with just simple shapewear. Like, no thanks, I'm good off of that. Then we move on furthermore. It gets worse because according to Shamea, there's no tissue paper even in the box with the gift to dress it up. I'm like, what type of time are you on, Britt? Like, girl, goodbye. Okay, bye, Britt. Just, just, this is why you just ain't made for this. No thanks and goodbye. And Nazaline, you just told Angela when she arrived that you guys were good, right? I don't know if y'all caught that right quick when they were giving that fake hug and whatnot. So why shade her with the XL body wear when you know good and doggone well that lady ain't nowhere near no XL? Body tone looking like everything, fit and fabulous. Like, girl, stop. So even if you were going to shade, that was so weak. That was so tired. That was so fried. Like, girl, no. And again, you can't even land shade the right way. Like, I'm so over her in every single way. And I give people a chance, y'all. I'm really trying to tell y'all, I'm not feeling somebody. Trust me, I'm really not feeling you. And it's for a good reason, in my personal opinion. Okay. It's not just because. And even Charles was sitting there shaking his head in that moment. I was like, I feel you, Charles. I mean, you be cutting up too, Charles, but I ain't even mad at you in this instance because you like, what am I sitting here supporting my wife do this mess for? Like, this is crazy. I could be 50,000 million other places again, right? Like he wanted to be before when he was even out with his wife, but whatever. So, moving on, I'm not even going to follow up with Angela's comment or her confessional about Britt's big mouth. Because my thoughts when I see her are those big veneers that she has and how she's always making the worst faces. Y'all, there have been so many times where I wanted to call that out and ask y'all if y'all saw it, the way she just the faces. Please, okay, maybe I know what I'm talking about. Maybe I don't. I really have these moments where I want to go there, but I really try not to go there because I know it's not the nicest thing to do to go there, right? Because then it gets real sensitive for people. You know, that turns into a body shaming of sort or whatever. And I'm not trying to do it, but my goodness, I can't help what I notice and observe. Okay, but again, like I said, we'll leave it right there. Okay. And so she says her inspiration behind her shapewear was, what did she say again, y'all? Something about when she got her BBL, she didn't like what they put them. I was like, okay, girl, whatever it was, it wasn't inspirational to me. It wasn't encouraging. Didn't make me say, oh yeah, girl, oh that's pretty cool. And I usually love backstories to why people start businesses, but it was giving typical Brit, okay, which is not much there. And so, she says that um, all her staff, when she started her business, was able to get whatever plastic surgery they wanted done. And I'm assuming it was on her, like out of her pocket. And I said, so let me get this fun fact straight. So, but all your staff, when they joined your team, got to have whatever plastic surgery they wanted. Meanwhile, you tried to cut costs by making sure only like 8 out of the 40 guests you had at your event ate. Okay, well, maybe the plastic surgery days was before the money dried up, but girl, this is still a like I you so you spend thousands upon thousands of dollars for that, but you couldn't accommodate on this. Oh my god, which is not even close. Is she just is her way of okay, let me move on, y'all. Let me move on. Okay. Let me not make more than what this needs to be and go left on this tangent. I'm trying to keep it together and keep it constrained in this certain amount of time. All right. So, anyways, Angela randomly shares that Charles doesn't have a side baby. Britt confirms that she's not one of his whores. And now we have Drew and Kelly who begin to have a little back and forth, with each other. And to which Kelly and Shamia both say in their confessionals that Drew is a known liar. Drew wants to clear the air on the whole, Pilar's college fund comment that she made. And Drew pretty much was saying that she felt like Shamea just ran back to Porsha and told her something that was untrue, or pretty much put 20 on 10 and made it bigger than what it needed to be. To what Shamea is pretty much like, nah, you said what you said and you were pretty much being shady. And even with the playback of the comment, or Drew making the comment, y'all, I still must admit I have to agree with Shamea. I think too, when I did watch others' thoughts after, I had shared mine, they were feeling like Drew wasn't being shady. And I couldn't disagree with that more. Like, I felt like she was totally being shady. Just because you say something in a cute tone, that doesn't mean that shade doesn't lie there within. They're beefing in this moment. You got to remember, they're not feeling each other. And Portia's been treating Drew like trash up until that point and shading her, cursed her out the very first episode. So why wouldn't there be room for shade to be thrown in that moment? So I just feel like this is one of them times we go back to Drew not being the most truthful person. I just don't think Drew was being truthful in this moment. I think she was shading Porsha. She should have left Pilar out of it, and that's that on that. And she should have known that this was going to come back to bite her in the behind. Hence the reason why she should have caught herself before she even said it and not said it. But either way, and however, once the lapdog comment came up, I felt like Shamea was doing way too much, way too much. I mean, the faces and the this and the that and the turning her body. And I was like, girl, this is giving. I really want to have my spotlight moment. I need this camera time even more. I'm now getting addicted to this camera time. Like, it was giving something other than a genuine energy that it should give. Like, if you really want to be beefing with her like that, like, make it make more sense, Shamia. Like, you were like a petulant child of some sort. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, it just wasn't appealing. It wasn't appealing at all, and not a way to express yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, it gave, again, you sitting up in the middle of the mediation when everybody else was laying down like a child. And now that I thought was kind of cute, I ain't gonna lie, but it still was just, this was not. Okay, this was not. So y'all can let me know what you think on the dance floor. I thought that it was way too much. And then too, I was like, hold on, sidebar. Did y'all see the binge worthy guy there? They showed him twice. They showed him once before he went to commercial, and then when he came back from commercial. And if you guys don't know, and I'm sure you do, because this platform is so large, he has a huge following, but I don't know the name of his YouTube channel. Is it binge worthy? Something or another? And I feel like, I don't know his name fully because I've only seen like a couple of his videos and they've been sparingly, but they're always great. Um, Oh shoot, what is his name, y'all? I feel like it's Diego is in there or something like that. I don't know. And I remember like recently seeing his face because before he used to have like one of those avatars, um, and whatever, or something, or maybe he still uses them. And I saw his face. I don't know, y'all. I don't want to get it confused. Hopefully, you know who I'm talking about. But anywho, I will say that it seems like he has a good ear to the Atlanta streets. And listen, he may even live in Atlanta. I'm not sure, but from what I've seen, I really like his just soft tone that he has. And he seems like he's a nice person and very much well informed. So check out that channel if you like. I think if you were to type in binge worthy, he should come up. Okay. But it was the guy with the bald head. So moving forward, did Britt really stand up and say that this is a classy event and any kind of like, I guess, side combos or beats that they were having, they were going to have to take outside? Do I even need to address that? What's understood don't need to be said, right? Okay, so moving along. Jewess signing her record deal, and I said good for her. So she calls Dennis on FaceTime just to clear up the air since they'll still be working together at this point, with the whole music of it all. And we really don't need to entertain that combo either because we already know what it is. We know that they're not messing around, and for whatever reason out of it, Drew still feels like her and Portia need to have a sit down to clear things up. And I'm like, oh, why, Drew? Still, like, who cares what Portia thinks? Portia will be all right. And at this point, she's friends with you again. All right. She gave you a hug and said hello. So take that and do with it what you will. But it was still nice to see something positive happening for Drew in this moment after what she's been going through and so many dark clouds that she's had. So cheers to that. Clink, clink, clink to the glasses. Okay. Cheers to you, Drew, and much success because Drew one thing they cannot take away from you, you are a talented singer. Okay. So Porsha pulls up to Phaedra's house, who is now reintroduced onto the show. So some of you might be like, yay! And some of you might be like, boo. You know what I'm saying? How do you feel? I don't know. I feel very neutral. I have to see what it's giving. I remember just in the earlier days, at first I was like, what they say, Harpo? Who this woman? I was like, this lady's all over the place with her stories and this, that, and the third, and the what, and the pregnancy and her delivery date being off. Like, how do you not know your due date and have the numbers off? And then with time, she grew on me. I was like, oh, this lady can shade. And, I just liked her personality. And then you had the whole Candy situation, and that just threw me in for a huge loop. And I'm like, Phaedra, of all people, too, upholding, the first thing we learn in law school, one of the main things are the professional rules of conduct that you have to govern yourself by. Why would you get yourself caught up in such a statement that's so damning to someone when it comes to Candy? And again, I won't go down all of that, y'all, because it'll make the video super long and then that'll cause a whole debate. And we've already been there and done that, right? Don't need to do it again. But the bottom line is freaking fracker back now, right? Because Porsha and Phaedra were a thing, two peas in a pod. And I guess Phaedra's once again in her element more so now than her being over, with the ladies on Married to Medicine. I still would say to this day that was a fabulous exit. Don't know what y'all think, but I loved it. Especially that clip I saw. Oh, no, we saw it on the reunion, but then I saw it floating on YouTube and I love watching it like a million times. Then when she kind of shaded, she didn't go to the Married to Medicine reunion and shaded the piss out of those ladies. I was like, ouch. Ooh, she read them down. Okay. In like less than 2 minutes. But anyways, and so we get the flashback again of that big lie she told on Candy. Okay, and we know Porsha was clued up in that, which which caused Candy to never fool with Phaedra again, and barely Porsha, because we remember we watched those seasons where after that, ooh, Candy was not with Porsha. And then eventually they got to a point where Candy started to ease up a little bit and might say a word or two or there, and then they ended up being pretty decent. But yeah, I was like, yeah, nah, Porsha, you might as well get it up. Candy ain't ever with you again. Even if she does keep it cool, she ain't gonna trust you to no degree like she used to. That ain't gonna happen. I don't know where they stand, y'all. Now, y'all, you probably could tell me more than I can tell myself. Maybe they see each other in passing and it's a hello and a quick conversation, but I'm sure they're not hanging out. Like, I just don't see Candy ever going back to that friendship again. And we already know what it is with her and Phaedra, okay? Most will probably say, because I heard rumblings when Candy left, that it was supposed to be because there was talks of Phaedra coming back at that time. But either way, or moving forward, did we hear an apology from Phaedra still? I feel like once we get the montage of her and what she did, and then just kind of some of her life on the show a little bit prior. No, it wasn't really giving the full accountability that it needs to give. I mean, she did kind of slide in there. Oh, I did something I wasn't too proud of last time you saw me. Yeah, but that apology should have flowed from that. That would have been a nice way to kind of slide back on in at least. But I said, oh, whatever, who's paying attention, right? And so her and Porsha are sitting and they're just, having conversation like ladies do, just a rundown about all of the girls and kind of brief, just kind of synopsis on each one of them. And I was like, not Phaedra already shading Brett. Shaded her down really quickly in those few seconds. I said, not the woman about town. She's known to be the woman about town, all right? And did y'all catch how Phaedra said that her and Shamea, they did something together? What did she say? Was it a show, y'all, or maybe like I don't know if it was an interview or a podcast or something they did together, and Porsha had no idea what she was talking about. She's like, oh, I didn't know that. I said, okay, well, that's weird. Because you and Shamea are best friends, right? We can throw that aside because some might say, okay, they're best friends, so what? I don't know everything my best friend does, but it's the fact that y'all still both knew that Phaedra was coming back to the show. So I would like to think that knowing that the conversation would just naturally flow if you either one of you connect with Phaedra before she comes onto the show. Like, it just seems like that's something that would organically come out. So I was like, maybe it just again just is a testament to Porsha and Shamea's relationship behind the scenes for real, and to Shamea's point that what they have on camera is not what they have off camera. Just saying, but whatever. Either way, or I guess the party has started for the people in Atlanta all over again with Phaedra being back. All right. So at this point, the music is on, the dance floor is lit. Don't be no prude and hold up the wall. Let me know what you think. Are y'all excited that this other queen of shade, okay, or you could call her Shady herself, is back? You know what I mean? Are y'all interested in seeing her and Porsha intermingle and act silly and act a fool? I know a lot of y'all think Portia's so much fun and Phaedra's the just amount of fun. You'll have to let me know. And this whole Shamea thing, acting the way she did at the golfing event, did y'all find it to be cute? Because again, I certainly didn't. So just let me know y'all thoughts, y'all, for whatever we were able to squeeze out of this peach, whatever juice we could get out of the peach, okay, this episode. And I will say that I hope that this video has found you guys in good spirits. And if it hasn't, I hope that I've said something, or maybe just even a little, I don't know, flow of something from me reached you in a positive way and has added just a little bit of sunshine to your day. I will be back next week to do this all over again for sure. Have y'all been keeping up with the Diddy? Did he do it? Did he not? Did he done of it all? Freaking bananas. Okay. I don't know if I've seen anything as crazy in my life yet. And it just keeps going. It's like the gift that keeps on giving in the wildest, craziest way. And I know that's a whole conversation that could be had on another day by itself. Either way, or y'all know what to do in the meantime, in between time, until we see each other again. Okay. Y'all stay up. Y'all stay blessed. And I'm out. Peace.